King Carl XVI Gustaf's forbidden love affair, the scandal that shook Sweden's crown. Welcome to BNews. For decades, the Swedish monarchy has carried an image of dignity, grace, and Scandinavian resilience, but every crown comes with its shadows. On this day, August 18, 2025, whispers from Stockholm have reignited one of the most scandalous stories in Sweden's royal history, the forbidden love affair of King Carl XVI Gustaf, a chapter that nearly destroyed the public trust in the monarchy and left Queen Silvia carrying the unbearable weight of betrayal. Behind the gilded doors of Stockholm's royal palace, beyond the carefully curated photographs of family unity, lies a truth that continues to haunt the Swedish crown. A king's choices, a queen's endurance, and a nation's questioning eyes. Could a love affair once buried in secrecy still echo loudly enough to shake the Swedish throne today? Before we begin unraveling this scandal that once rattled the very core of Sweden's monarchy, we invite you to take a moment to like this video, subscribe to News Royals families, and hit the notification bell. Here, we uncover the royal truths that official statements prefer to bury, revealing not only the headlines but the deeper emotions, betrayals, and human stories that lie beneath the polished exterior of royal life. And remember, your voice matters. Share your thoughts in the comments. Should a monarch's personal choices define the fate of a nation, or should private indiscretions be left behind closed palace doors? King Carl XVI Gustaf of Sweden has reigned since 1973, ascending the throne at the age of 27 following the sudden death of his grandfather, King Gustaf VI Adolf. From the start, he was known as a youthful, handsome monarch, carrying the promise of modernizing the Swedish monarchy in an era of social change. Yet beneath the royal charm, the king had a reputation for enjoying life to its fullest, a man who loved fast cars, nightlife, and the attention that came with being young, powerful, and wealthy. For years, whispers of indiscretions followed him, but the most explosive allegations emerged decades later, threatening to shake both his marriage and his throne. The heart of the scandal lay in claims of a forbidden affair, one that reportedly stretched beyond fleeting encounters and touched the deepest nerves of Queen Silvia's dignity as a wife and consort. In 2010, the publication of a sensational book, The Reluctant Monarch, shattered the calm image of the Swedish royal family. The book alleged that Carl Gustaf had engaged in affairs with women outside his marriage, some of them long-lasting and deeply emotional. The revelations included rumors of private gatherings and secret meetings, painting a picture of a king leading a double life. For a country that values transparency and integrity, this was not just royal gossip, it was a potential constitutional crisis. Queen Silvia, admired globally for her grace and humanitarian work, was suddenly thrust into the center of humiliation. Having stood beside her husband since their fairy tale wedding in 1976, she had given her life to supporting his reign, raising 3 children, and cultivating a respectable image for Sweden's monarchy. Yet, behind her elegant smile, the queen was forced to endure the whispers of betrayal. The Swedish public, who revered her as a dignified and loyal queen, saw her silence as both strength and tragedy. For Silvia, the affair wasn't merely about a husband's infidelity, it was about protecting the monarchy's survival. What made the scandal especially shocking was how far-reaching its effects became. Sweden, unlike some European monarchies, has long prided itself on equality, transparency, and respect for women. The idea that their king could have engaged in behavior that degraded his marriage and disrespected his queen struck a chord of betrayal across the nation. Swedes began to ask, if the king cannot uphold his vows to his wife, can he truly uphold his responsibilities to his people? The pressure intensified as media outlets across Europe pounced on the story. Tabloids in Germany, Britain, and Spain drew comparisons between Carl Gustaf and other royal figures tarnished by infidelity, from Spain's King Juan Carlos, who was forced into abdication after scandal, to Britain's Charles, who endured decades of scrutiny for his love life. Sweden, often seen as a bastion of modern, scandal-free monarchy, suddenly found itself dragged into the same storm of suspicion and betrayal. Yet, what stands out most in this saga is Queen Silvia's extraordinary resilience. Rather than step back or show her hurt, she carried on with royal duties, presenting an image of unity even when unity may not have existed behind closed doors. For many Swedes, this cemented her as the true backbone of the monarchy. A woman who, despite deep personal wounds, put her country and her family above herself. But others questioned whether such loyalty came at too high a personal cost, asking whether Silvia's silence was protecting her husband or imprisoning her in a life of unspoken pain. Meanwhile, their children, Crown Princess Victoria, Prince Carl Philip, and Princess Madeleine, grew up under the shadow of these allegations. For Victoria especially, the heir to the throne, the scandal was more than a family matter. It posed questions about the credibility of the monarchy she was destined to inherit. As the nation's future queen, she needed to demonstrate that integrity, stability, and trustworthiness would define her reign, not the mistakes of her father. The affair, therefore, became more than a private wound, it was a generational challenge to the Swedish crown itself. Over the years, the palace has remained silent on the details, issuing only vague statements of unity and love. But silence, as history shows, can be as telling as confession. Each time Carl Gustaf and Silvia appear together, the public wonders what pain lingers beneath the surface, what truths remain unspoken, and how much betrayal a marriage can endure under the relentless gaze of a nation. Now, in 2025, with the king at 79 years old, the whispers have returned. The forbidden affair is once again being discussed in Sweden's press, reminding citizens that wounds of betrayal do not simply heal with time. Instead, they linger, becoming scars etched into the legacy of both the king and the monarchy he represents. For Silvia, the question remains, did she sacrifice too much of her personal happiness for the sake of the crown? And for Sweden, another question echoes, should a king's personal flaws be forgiven in the name of tradition, or should betrayal disqualify a man from wearing the crown? And so, dear viewers, we ask you, should Queen Silvia's loyalty to King Carl Gustaf be celebrated as a symbol of royal strength, or condemned as a tragic silence in the face of betrayal?